before you get to the offseason, or in particular, before you get to the playoffs?
It's never easy. A system change would come typically with a coaching change. And the reality is you also have to evaluate the personnel you have. You can't go the other way around. And I think that's what separates oftentimes the good coaches from the great ones.
Target at the rim. New York with the ball. Ahead, here's Jamison. Finished off the break.
Probably disappointing. Had numbers, took advantage.
Here's Cross and careening off the glass. Inside.
Last year, they would have liked to see a little bit more of them, the way they were able to take care of their business.
Cross. He hangs in there and cashes in on the second chance point.
Still searching out their offensive game right now. 1 of 5 from the field.
And it's out of bounds. The Knicks able to retain possession here. Here is Doc. 17 points for him last game against the Lakers in Los Angeles. To the paint. Banked in off the glass. And there's the pass to Skinny. Left block shot on the way. The shot is good off the backboard.
To the post effectively here so far.
Pass to Payne. Kicks it to Shakur. Jamison up on top. Here's Honeycutt. The lead pass was put in just
from a rookie. No better way to make a first impression than by spreading. To buy himself a ticket to the bench. If he keeps shooting it like that, he has been putrid here this quarter. Shots are just flowing for him right now, having a
pass to the bodyguard. The three. Here's Dandridge. Draws contact on the shot, and now a three-point. And so Ulis will bring it up for the Knicks. Oh, and there's the alley-oop.
Prettiest play in basketball, executed to perfection.
I don't think everybody loves the alley-oop. From about 16, uses the glass to... Miracle Man, the pass to Palmer. Here's the bodyguard. And now a 4-point Suns lead.
And he's not sort of an opportunity from deep.
And Honeycutt kicks to Shakur. With some arc. And he lays it up and in. Now here's G. 9 points last game out. The putback controls the rebound and puts it back up. Here's the bodyguard. He's got 5. A minute 20 left here in the opening quarter. Good on the bucket.
Here. Their success working the ball inside and getting points from close range.
Now here's Ulis. He's been patient so far. Nothing on the scoreboard yet. The Suns leading. Here's the bodyguard. 9 points last game. It's good. He makes his first shot of the game. Pass to Ulis. Up and in, off to an efficient start.
And it's paid off.
Passes it to the bodyguard. To the right side. Lets it go from deep. Another 3 for Phoenix. Leading by 5. And a chance here presented by Gatorade to see who's on the floor. All fueled up and ready to go for the start of the second quarter. With the rebound. Next up on the schedule, the Grizzlies. That'll be a home game. That'll be the second game of a 5-game homestand. Count the basket. Over Kaysen. And it's denied by Outlaw. Outlaw's got his 5th rebound in this one. Here's Napier. Oh, that's blocked. And he recovers it. Good.
Again and a
Knicks trail by 11. Some tough offensive sets. They want to turn it around.
Yeah, right now you just need a bucket to get some momentum.
Here's Payne. It's good. He scores. That's his first.
Passing in the paint may be even more important to an offense than great passing on the perimeter. Those are areas where you got to be careful.
Good ball movement here by the Suns. Here's Napier. That one dropped for his second bucket. Off target from 3-point range. Suns leading by 11. Down low. Here's Outlaw. Good, and it's Napier with the assist. He's averaging just around 8.5 points a game from the arc. Here's Wilson, and there's 2 points. Shakur. He kicks to Jamison. Over in the corner, Ellis. Back to Jamison. To the middle. And the shot is good. The Phoenix lead is making.
Even with the defense, not really a factor.
Doc. Here's Outlaw. Plays it up and banks it in.
But if they're still trailing at the final buzzer, a lot of this is going to be felt by him. His shooting tonight has just been atrocious.
Outside, Jamison. Shot clock reset for the Knicks. Basket good. Knicks trail by 9. Here's Payne. An easy 2 points on the layup. It's hauled in by the Suns. Outlaw's got rebound number 8 now on the night.
Well, his shooting.
Look at that. And this sort of awesome dunk is one.
It's Payne with the ball. He'll bring it up for the New York Knicks. After this one, they take on the Clippers at the Staples. Game 2 of 4 straight on the road.
What elevation. He's a smaller but still determined big man.
3-on-3 break. Here's G. The three-pointer, no good.
Oh, man, still a goose egg for him in the scoring column.
He gets it in there. Shakur. Tipped away. The putback. Payne. Great position. He doesn't hit that one. Suns leading by 3. Here's Skinny. Goes up again. And the whistle blows as the second half. Here is Shakur. He's got 7 inside. Here's Honeycutt. And it's in there. Honeycutt.
It's almost like he's trying to make things hard on himself. You know, he's just got to slow the game down. Try to get some.
Trying to break that ice-cold streak. They're running. Here's Peck. Got a piece of it. Well, we're into the third quarter. Just over 2.5 minutes played. For the tie. And Honeycutt gets it to go in the game. Then Russell. They get it back. Here's Outlaw. Wilson with the block. And they cash in right away with the quick time on the shot that would have put them on top.
And boy, have they been hitting the backboard in this game or what? Kind of surprising. It's such a...
The pass to Outlaw. Here is Doc. Looking to end his cold spell. And the powerful one-handed slam.
Big hops from the backcourt.
It's got to be better. Flat out effort was not there.
To the middle. Here's Outlaw. A good finish at the rack off the slip. Just 4 to shoot. They get the rebound. Shot's good by Wilson. Knicks pull it in. Payne's got 14. Yep, 14 rebounds for him tonight. Wow. Basket counts. Pass to Flash. Lets the 3 fly. Tips it. It's good on the putback.
Achilles heel defensively. They just have not been able to control that backboard.
Here's Dandridge. And he gets the friendly spin. 5 on the clock. Yep, that one goes. And the bucket is good. 3-point play chance here for him.
And that's not nearly the kind of defense that's going to produce.
Passes to Wilson. Pass to Payne. Shot clock at 5. Uses the glass to finish the way.
Rare you'll see him miss such an open look. Oh, and the leader on a ridiculous offensive sequence.
That dunk alone would have been bodyguard. Here's Cross. That one a tad offline to the right. G, no good.
You know what? They're winning, though, despite the fact that he has just been really off.
The 19-foot shot. That one's in there. The Knicks lead is cut one. No good. The Suns go the other way with it. Here's Kaysen. Lays it up off the glass. Back to G. From past the arc. Cans it from downtown. And
Kevin?
Thank you, David. Here is Shakur. And he floats in for the easy.
Themselves in the foot here. They've lost their touch at the line. The percentage continues to drop.
Here's Pat. Jamison left side. And he jams feet on the run.
Ooh.
Now the pass to Payne. To the inside. Honeycutt. Count the bucket coming off a perfectly three-point range. Phoenix has gone ice cold from three-point land 0-4 since the start of the final quarter. Trying to go for an alley-oop, but excellent defense and anticipation there to stop it.
Pretty devastating. Turn the ball over like that and surrender.
Nice ball movement by Phoenix. Terrific assist and nice finish. Here is Shakur. Feeds it to Honeycutt. And it's thrown down hard with both hands.
Game to help them get this lead.
Doc the pass to Cross. Down low. Here's Doc. Makes it off the glass to Insanity. Here is Doc. Pulls up. Another one falls for Phoenix.
Efficiency shot on the floor, and that's the paint. You just keep going.
And now we present our New Balance Player of the Game, Big Cat.
Yeah, and his performance has been a jaw-dropper. He must have been feeling great coming into the building tonight, because once he hit the court, it was all work.
Pass to Payne. 6 on the shot clock. Laid in with a nice touch off the glass. Outlaws got the glass covered here tonight. 11 boards for him.
Gives a great element having a one guard who can get to the 10.
Certainly something. Pass to Payne. Back to Jamison. Payne's shot is good. Just confirms what a dominant game he had. What a night tonight it was for Big Cat.
Well, a consistent intensity is what he...
What's good, fam? Welcome back to the Zone. We just watched the New York Knicks go up against the Phoenix Suns, and I can't hold you. The Suns had a chance to win this game, but I felt like they gave up towards the fourth quarter and that they were just chucking up a bunch of shots, not getting back on defense, and ultimately the Knicks had their way with them. But as you can see, starting off with Kim Fictional, he had a terrible game offensively, shooting 5 for 29, but I will admit that he did impress me defensively against Ayo Shakur, but otherwise, I think the team could have experimented with other folks running at the one. I know there are a few folks on the team that have point guard as their secondary position, but there is Jimmy Taylor, who is nearly the same overall and plays a point guard as well. Probably could have gave him a chance, but otherwise, Chris Cross, he had a so-so game, shooting 6 for 19. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Normally, he's the high-flying scorer on the team, so for Kim to be outscoring him in this game says a lot. And then we have Kendall Kaysen, who had 12 points, 2 boards, 3 assists, and he shot 4 for 12. But on the Knicks side, Shake Honeycutt had a dominant game. As you can see, he had a strong double-double with 28 points, 26 rebounds. I believe this was above his average of 26 points and 14 rebounds per game. He also shot 14 for 26. Theo Payne, who's also a center, but the Knicks are, interestingly enough, playing him at the 4. He had 18 points, 24 boards, shooting 7-15. And Theo himself, he performed a lot better than his averages go, with the exception of his points per game, which is around 25 points. But in this game, he only had 18, so imagine if he really turned up, as he normally does. And then we have Ayo Shakur, who had 11 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, shooting 4 for 12. So I will say on Ayo's, in his defense, Kim as well as Kendall pretty much kept him on lock, and he wasn't able to be as impactful as he may have wanted. But otherwise, I want to give a big shout out to Harvey Outlaw. He is a third stringer, if I'm correct. He had a double-double with 11 points, 12 boards, shooting 4 for 6. He definitely surprised me because he was able to keep up with Shake Honeycutt as well as Theo Payne. He got a lot of blocks, as you can see. He almost had a triple-double. In fact, if he got 3 more blocks, he would have had that triple-double on lock. But I think he performed really well, so he may not be a starter potential just yet, but he's definitely a solid role player that could impact the game going forward. Then you see Horace Dandridge. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds. He shot 4 for 5. Then we have Orlando Napier, who had 6 points, 5 boards, shooting 3 for 8. And I want to say he was selling the entire game. There were a lot of shots he took. There were a lot of passes he made that made no sense. And ultimately, I didn't think he should have been playing at all. He probably should have got less minutes, and those minutes could have gone elsewhere. Then we have Anthony Wilson, who had a strong game with 10 points, 15 boards, shot 4 for 9. Dexter Jameson, who oddly enough was selling, even though he's in the starting lineup. He did take over for George Copeland, who is now a third stringer, surprisingly. And then we have Bradley Z, who had 5 points, 4 boards, and he shot 2 for 14. So he was another person selling. So if everybody was clicking on the Knicks, this game probably would have been worse than what we actually saw. And so to wrap up the box scores, Jace Van Rossum, as we've seen time and time again, he did not have a great game per se. He was definitely impactful on defense, but when it came to the offensive scoring, as you can see, he only had 4 points, 4 boards, and he shot 2 for 8. Then we have Jerome Palmer, who's also somebody who doesn't get a lot of play time from what I've seen in the past. And I think if we go back to a few videos, I don't think he played then either, but you see he had 4 points, 3 boards, but he did shoot for 2 for 3. And then Omari Fofana, he's now coming off the bench, and he only had 2 points, 3 boards, shooting 1 for 5. And I think I gave him big highlights previously in a former video, but this was a sad outing, to say the least, for a lot of the folks on the Suns. But Emmanuel Ulis was definitely a dog on defense. Although he only had 4 points, 4 boards, his presence was felt. He did get 3 big blocks. He did shoot 2 for 8, which was not too great considering his standards. Then we had Alvin Ellis, who's somebody that normally doesn't get any PT, but he got a lot of play time this game. He only shot 1 for 3. He had 2 points, 3 boards. But ultimately, I will say that the Knicks are very board dominant, and they're very good, as you can see from the stats here. When it came to the shooting splits, the teams were pretty much neck and neck, and that's why the game was very close. I think if Chris Cross was more efficient than he was in this game and really exhibited the shooting prowess that he has under his belt, this game could have easily gone to the Suns. So I don't know why they kind of petered out towards the end of the game. As you can see, the bench outscored the Knicks bench by 14 points. The assists were almost in line, but it is really the defensive boards and the second chance points that helped push the Knicks over the edge and get this win over the Suns. But nonetheless, I enjoyed the game. Definitely looking forward to seeing how things go with the Knicks. But I definitely know which team could actually beat the Knicks, considering how dominant they are in the paint, as well as getting boards. It should be interesting to see how the remainder of the season goes. But let's get into our second game, where we have the Utah Jazz going up against the Orlando Magic. Hope you enjoy.
And here is Harper. He picked up 30 points in their last win against Miami. Doyle passes to Harper. Good for the basket. Starting off, Campbell with it. Smith for 3. Good for the basket. Starting off.
Your energy to do it. You have to trust your defensive rotations, but it's worth it.
Here's Red Hot coming off a solid outing against Miami. That one's Smith on the wing. Lewis covering. Here's Gamble. Good for the basket. Starting off around now. Here's Blue. Offensive rebound. Campbell. And the layup's good off the glass.
And the D.
First quarter of play. We're about 3 minutes in. Whistle blows. Basket is good. 3 minutes in. Lewis outside to end the run. He lays it in. Here is Smith. Looking at his numbers, he's averaging about 6.5 points a game. No problems knocking that one down.
You want to leave open.
Here's Bottoms. 9-point game his last outing. Fouled in the act of shooting. Gets the bucket anyways. No luck. The Magic trail by 5. Here's Doyle. Count that one.
How about
game against Chicago?
And not only was he creating for himself, he was setting up teammates with good shots.
Harper and the Jazz with another miss. Orlando, they've gone 6 of 8 in the game so far. A very solid start for them. That gives them the lead. Now Campbell. Now the dish to Prez. High, arcing shot, and he sinks the lead. Here's Red Hot. And he's currently averaging more than 26 to Wilcox. Inside, Fletcher. Second shot opportunity, and it's good on the way up. 10-7 run. Here's Red Hot. Bucket number 3. He's a free to start.
I mean, that's a good job working the ball inside and getting.
Smith feeling it out a bit. Down low. That one falls, his second basket of the game. Flores the pass to Ryan. It's stolen by Prez. Here's Campbell. Look out! Here he comes! The teardrop falls in to Quinn from outside the arc. Utah the rebound. Here's Fletcher from down in the low post in the game. Here's Red Hot. Campbell defending. And that one is good. Smith outside. Scores for only the second time.
Want to go back to again.
Second quarter of play with around 2 minutes gone so far. The alley-oop layup. He's coming off a 16-point game against the Bulls in Chicago.
He was really aggressive on the glass, too. He really racked up on the board.
Here's Red Hot. 10 points for him. It falls for the 6th time in serving in the Western Conference. The fans rewarding him for a tremendous season so far.
And I'm sure he's grateful for that. But, Kevin, I know what he wants.
Against Chicago. After 2 misses to start the game off the mark, Orlando. Utah trailing here. Inside. Here's Gamble. And he goes in for the touch.
Attack mode right there. He plays bigger than his size.
Here's Gamble. Good on the triple.
Timeout, timeout.
Now it's
a win is a win. Sometimes you're not going to play your best, so you have to just gut it out, right?
Here's Flores, and he drops in the layup off the glass. Here's Mr. Moves. And that one, good. Lewis passes to Dort. Now Harper, wide open look, and it's in off the backboard.
Wide open look.
Here is Wilcox. He's gotten some minutes, but nothing on the board yet. And Utah again with the bucket. Outside Harper. Down it goes. That's 4 made from the... Now the pass to Mr. Moves. He lobs up the alley-oop pass, and Campbell. The Magic trail by 4. Guys, they're looking for a way to score here.
Yeah, they've had a tough time taking the lid off.
3-pointer. Blue. And it is good at the buzzer. Wow. Then it's Freak, and it's Harper in at the small forward. So that's the lineup on the floor for the Magic. Count that one. Mr. Moves passes to Blue. The drive by Smith. And he banks in the layup. The layup off the mark. Lewis outside. Here's Freak. Count it. Freak's got his 6 to shoot. Pass to Blue. And he uses the glass on the layup. Orlando, they've gone 2 of 3 from the field to start the second half. Here's Flores. Good once again. That makes him 8 for 9. Here's Insanity. Fades away. Chalk up 2 there. Harper with the rebound. Harper's got double-digit rebounds now in the game.
His inability to make shots has not brought this team down. That shows you their resourcefulness. Back in the day,
Prez. Taking a look at his stats, he's averaging around 7.5 points a game. And the pass to McCarthy. And here's Smith. Lewis covering. Jazz passing it around. Shot clock at 3. He had a nice open look right there. It's now 7 points for Prez.
this is the shot you want to get him. An open look from Ray.
Pass to Doyle. Good on the shot. Trail by 4. To the middle. Lewis gets the bucket. Lewis. Here's Quinn. Back to Smith. Takes the assist and lays it.
Movement. That's fun to watch.
They need a good offensive possession.
Yeah, they've gone a long time.
Here's Insanity. 6 points for him. To the inside. Lays it up and banks it in. Here's Doyle. He's got 6, and the shot goes down. It's hauled in by the Magic. Red Hot's got 9 rebounds in the game, getting it done. The score now all even. Prez, 7 points in the game. McCarthy, the pass to Fletcher. That one is good. He's only missed 1 game. Here's Page. Beautiful dish, and the layup goes. One is off. The Jazz go the other way with it. And now the fast break. Prez with the ball. And that one's good by Wilcox.
Really impressed with their offensive execution.
Here's Red Hot. And he's currently averaging more than 26 points a game.
Somewhere it was in that first half.
There's 1:26 left to play in the third. Here's Larson, and he goes up strong. Here's Labissiere. Tries it again. Here's Harper. And at last, they get one to fall. And with 3 quarters behind us, we start the 4th quarter in what is still anybody's ball game. All fueled up and ready to go. Let's reset the lineup. From deep 3-point range, offensive rebound. Boom, he jams it straight down. We've played just over 1 minute here in the 4th quarter. Here's Blue. And the layup's good off the glass. Harper with the ball. He kicks it to Freak. And right through it goes.
Can't catch up.
Here's the pass to Blue. Here's Smith. Makes it off the glass. Orlando moving the ball around. And count it, the shot is good. He'll go to the free throw line.
And you want
to Mr. Moves. It's not going to go for him. And trying to get it to go, even with the contact, but no good. And they'll try to pick up 2 at the free throw line coming up. Harper with the ball. Lewis on the way. Campbell defending. That one drops for him. Good on the 3.
Hasn't been able to dial it in from distance. He has just the 1-3. That was in the first half.
Right now, be in the moment with each other. Do your job, and I promise you we'll win this game. Back to you.
Thanks so much, David. That one good for 2.
Can rely on.
Here's Red Hot. Nice shot by Smith.
Love it when the fast break results in a high percentage look. Not always the case these days.
Here's Flores. He gets that one. Five on the clock. Whistle blows. Bucket is good. And he'll have a chance at the line to make it defensively by Smith.
He's doing what he can to help them cut into this lead. His shot just isn't quite there tonight.
With the 3-point shot. Utah leading by 5. He lobs it up, and Campbell throws it down. Page with the rebound. Page has got his 5th rebound in this one. Campbell's shot's good. Now let's present our New Balance Player of the Game, Mr. Moves.
And to me, the best part of his game has been the work he's done inside. I mean, slashing, driving the lane, attacking the basket at every chance. When he's had an opening, he's taken it.
Well, he needed a game like this badly. He's been struggling for a while now, but tonight he broke out of that slump in style. Here's Mr. Moves. Smith for three. Drains it from beyond the arc. Tries off the glass, but it's no good. Utah leading by 12. Campbell the pass to Smith, and that one drops.
One of the easiest shots he is ever going to see.
And this is what happens when you start to break your opponent's spirit. The resistance is no longer there.
And the 111 feet. The Magic trail by 12. Down low, here's Ryan. Great pass to set up the lane.
Clearly on the same page.
Now here is Smith. The pass to Mr. Moves. Yes, and it's Smith with the assist.
Again, to stretch the floor, particularly in this second half.
This was obviously a focal point coming out of the break. Look smart when the
pass to Campbell. To the paint. Smith trying to break loose. Banked in off the glass. Passes it to McCarthy. Here's Mr. Moves. He's guarded by Harper.
Taking no chances.
Here's Page. And so it's Utah.
Now, this was an interesting game, to say the least, mainly because the Jazz and the Magic are very close when it comes to the rankings in their respective conferences. So, for example, the Magic were the 9th as of last week, and the Jazz were the 7th. So, this game turned out pretty well, although I think it could have been closer from a point differential perspective. But nonetheless, EJ Flores did his thing, and I could see why he has been leading the team while Darren Harper was out. As you can see, he had 22 points, 11 boards, shooting 11 for 14, and defensively, he was also there getting a steal and a block, and he was also getting assists. Alex Lewis, he was selling hard, actually, shooting 4 for 13, but he was able to get 16 points. A lot of those points came from the line, but he was also able to get rebounds, some assists. And then Darren Harper, who was back from an injury, was able to get a double-double, just as EJ Flores was able to get a double-double. But Darren was able to get 16 points, 16 boards, and shooting for 7 for 17. And then on the Jazz, Julian Gamble, they had no response to him, the same way the Jazz didn't have a response for EJ. As long as EJ was in the paint, he was scoring. With Julian, from all three levels, he was doing his thing. He did shoot 10 for 20, showed 50%, which is good in my opinion. Shooting for 23 points, he had 7 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. Solid game overall. Dave Smith surprised me with his 21 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. He shot 9 for 20, but I didn't know that Dave Smith had this in his bag, considering he's a 69 overall, so he did a really good job. Same thing with Darryl Fletcher. He's lower on the list when it comes to overall, but you saw he had a double-double. Now, Tyron Nasius on the Magic side, he's shown little spurts of potential in the few games that we saw. So going back to the Magic versus the 76ers, he was really dominant in that game, coming off, I think he was part of the second or third string at that point in time, but now he's gotten some solid minutes on the team. So he had 11 points, 2 boards, shooting 4 for 10. Then Kieran Doyle, not Kyle Doyle, had 10 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, shooting 5 for 13. And then Spencer Ryan, I expected a lot more coming from him, but he only had 9 points. He had 5 boards, 2 assists, and he's shooting 3 for 6. So from a efficiency perspective, it was there, but given the amount of time that he was given, I would expect more from him. But then Robin Campbell, he's another one that has been slowly coming up on the list. And so you saw he had 6 for 14. Downhill McCarthy shot 3 for 9. He had 8 points. And Vin Hardy shooting 50%. He had 7 points. But ultimately, I think if they got Vin Hardy more touches as well as Robin more touches, this game could have been out of hand very easily. Going back to the Magic, Elias was in foul trouble beginning from the first quarter. By the end of the third, he already had 4, and we saw that he definitely got ejected from the game because he fouled out because he just couldn't guard Julian nor Justin Blue when they made that switch. So that's part of the main reason why he was out of the game. But overall, looking at the comparison between the two teams, like I said, this game could have gone either way. One of the biggest issues for the Magic is that they really had no answer when it came to defending in the low post. A lot of their issues were that the Utah Jazz was scoring from the paint with ease. And if you notice towards the end of the fourth quarter, well, not really towards the end, but between 6 and 4 minutes left on the clock, the Jazz went on a 16-6 run. By the end of the quarter, that run was 25-16. So the Magic were able to come back in a sense and reduce the deficit. But ultimately, this was mainly because the Jazz were able to make some intelligent switches on defense. They were able to get a lot of boards and force the Magic to take a lot of shoddy shots, mainly because of time violation that they were trying to avoid. So as a result, each time the Magic would miss a shot, the Jazz would ultimately come back and make a shot. And so going back to the three tiers, Julian was definitely dominant in the paint. He was dominant in the mid-range, and he was definitely dominant in the threes. So you see, looking at the shooting splits, overall, the shooting was very similar. But if we're talking about three-pointers, the Jazz definitely shot better. Granted, it was only 6 out of 15. Definitely did well at the line, although the Magic were able to get 17 for 17. But you'll see that if you're looking at the overall splits, the teams are fairly close with the exception of the bench points, the assists, and the boards. So the boards were definitely helpful because the Jazz were able to use that to score again and get those second chance points. But overall, I thought this was a decent game. And I'm actually going to stop rambling at this point and let's get into our next game where we have my Pelicans going up against the Sacramento Kings. Hope you enjoy.
Here's Zipser. Franklin for 3. Bangs home the trifecta.
That was a long time coming. Took them 5 attempts to get their first bucket.
Passes it to Franklin. To the paint. Here's Johnson. Off to a good start as he hits his first shot.
Wide open.
Yeah, very little resistance. I mean, you had to bring much faster help than that.
And that one is stolen by Johnson. And here's the break. Here's Zipser. Here's Franklin. And a good offensive. Johnson outside. Plays it up and banks it in.
That assist was right on target.
Feeds it to Starks. And he makes it look easy in. Pelicans trail by 3. Passes to Boss. To the inside. Here's Lee. And he takes it in for the layup. Some minutes, but nothing on the board yet. Here's Franklin. To the middle. Here's Johnson. And the slam dunk by Humphries. The shot. No good. And New Orleans will go the other way. Oh, that was a... Here's Franklin. He had an 18-point outing in the last game against Memphis.
And there was a lot he gave him on that other end of the floor. Don't forget about that. His defense was a big factor.
Particularly here to start the game.
Boss passes to Starks. Yep, that one goes in there. Side wing. Johnson with the bounce pass. Just 5 on the clock. Fires high post. A nice shot by Franklin.
Look, he's his own worst enemy right there. I mean, he has time, he has room, and for some reason, he shoots a lean twos.
Here's Smooth. The Pelicans make their last shot. Here's Houston. Connects on the 9-footer. Shot from the wing. And it's Humphries with the rebound.
Golden opportunity that he can't make good on. Maybe a wake-up call to the D, though. They can't leave him.
Outside Jordan. Tries from 16. Zipser. The tip in on the offensive rebound. He had a 12-point outing in their last game against Memphis. Here's Franklin. Guarded by Walden. A night for the Kings. Here's Boss. And they call the foul, so a chance at the... He's coming off a 10-point game against the Lakers.
But we got to talk about his D2. 4 steals in the game. I mean, and not only that, I mean, if you think about it, he dominated the boards. His energy was incredible. He never stopped working.
Just 5 to shoot. But they'll get another chance. Score the bucket. Here's Franklin. He's got 9. Back to Johnson. Sacramento moving it around. Franklin kicks to Zipser. 18 feet out. Uses the lead.
I mean, he's out there on an island all by himself. I mean, good job to stay cool and drink.
And that one is hammered home. He dishes it to Starks. Over to the wing. And he finishes it off with Eddie. Sacramento's gone 3 of 7 tonight from three-point territory. Humphries dishes to Franklin. He clangs that one off the back. Outside, Walden. Here's Starks. And the shot goes in. Franklin, 11 points in the game. Johnson, the pass to Franklin. And good that time.
Never need to worry about. He doesn't even know how to go through a cold streak.
To the paint, here's Nixon. A great 1-2 punch. Great defense that time from Ellis.
Frozen. Guys just ice cold, unable to contribute.
The Pelicans trail. Checking out the group for Stan Van Gundy to start the second half. Big Daddy is out there with Boss.
And they start the second half with 3 straight misses.
Pelicans keep it alive. Hay gets the bucket. And he lobs it up toward the rim. Starks with the steal. And a fast break now for the Pelicans.
Just rubbing it in there.
No scoring hit from him. Here's Franklin. Inside, Johnson. And then Johnson with the... Lee outside. Starts the pass to Brooks. And he uses both hands. Checked in. Here's Boss, and he takes that one up.
On the glass has been porous, and that's got to change.
Pass to Bay. He dents the rim with a 2. Stolen by Jordan. Pass to Zipser. Basket is good. He'll get a chance. He's leading by 5. Passes it to Lee. Lays it up off the glass. It in. Lee's got rebound number 5 here tonight. Starts the pass to Boss. Here's Bay. Second shot opportunity. On the basket by Starks. Here's Franklin. 13 points in the game. And here's Jordan outside. Buries it from three-point
play. He puts it in the perfect spot.
Pass to Walden. Here's Bay. Marvelous lead pass. And good D by Lee. Pelicans leading by 8 to the left wing. Boss passes to Bay, and the basket is good.
Edge on the glass is the difference. It's allowed them to build this lead.
And the basket is good, and he's got it.
And letting the game come to him. Solid play all around.
Yeah, GA, I like it because he's not overcomplicating things. I mean, he's just playing to his strengths and taking what the defense show forward.
It's stolen. And now Sacramento on the break. It's good, and the New Orleans lead is cut.
A momentum shifter. A steal leading straight to the basket.
Kicks it to Ellis. To the inside. Boss. And he throws it down. Nixon, the pass to the main. A fadeaway. And good, and it takes it. To the paint. And he jams it with the New Orleans. Starks has got 11 rebounds in the game. Here's Big Red. 6 points for him. Down low. And he goes strong with the one. Here's Smooth. And the layup's good off the glass. A little over 2.5 minutes have passed here in the fourth quarter. Outside, Walden. Pass to Boss. Back to Walden. Franklin with the steal. The mayor is out there with Franklin. Then there's Erickson. Then it's Johnson, and it's Fuller in at the 2. So that's the 5 in the game for Sacramento. No good there, and that would have cut it to single digits. 2 free throws coming up, and they call the shooting foul. And so he's picked up his final foul, and he will sit for the rest of it. A bit under 3.5 minutes have passed here in the 4th. Here's Smooth, and he lays it straight in. Passes it to Franklin. And with that one, the lead is...
Makes that an easy shot.
You see this all too often. You have to be willing to put in.
And the basket by Starks. And he's going up for the alley-oop. An alley-oop jam.
And hard side, which was
by New Orleans. Starks has got 14 rebounds tonight. Going after.
And battling hard on the glass.
Away. One-on-one fast break. Here's Humphries. Hits the three-point bomb. And with the rebound.
Now, he hasn't chipped in with many points tonight. It's a good thing he has the guys around him to carry the weight.
It's good.
It's the half now. He's finally starting to come around.
Here's Boss. Look at that. Maybe even a question mark. Here's Franklin. And he gets that one to go. Chance here. Pass to Starks. It drops. That's his ninth.
They've gotten very aggressive on the offensive glass here in the second half, getting a lot of second chance points.
Here's Franklin. From the high post. They grab their own miss.
I love his work.
They've shared the load offensively.
And guys, they've put the defense on their heels. You can see right now they're trying to react. And that's what you want when you're in a rhythm offensively. It puts the D in a tough spot.
He does put pressure on him.
And guys, it's clear though he enjoys showing off his athleticism. The D can't give him these opportunities.
Nixon gets the ball. The Kings trail by 3. And Humphries has it in the corner. It's good. This game is whole.
Designed to create opportunities from deep.
You see more teams doing this nowadays. They all are firmly entrenched in the era of the 3-ball.
Here's Starks. It falls! A moment to present the New Balance Player of the Game, Boss.
And Kevin, it's a no-brainer. He's controlled every aspect of this game, and it's just so fun to see a player perform at a level that's just higher than anyone else out on the floor.
Ellis is checked in for Lee. He gets a chance now to catch up with the 4th member of our crew, Hall of Famer David.
His team, he knows this has been a hard-fought game, and he wanted his guys to just sit down and catch their breath. He said, look, we're right in the game, guys. Let's make a little push here.
There's 45 seconds left in the 4th quarter. 9 seconds left in the 4th quarter. To the middle. Here's Nixon. So it's a narrow victory for.
So I can't hold you. I was high-key hot by the end of this game, mainly because no one else was contributing to the offense the way I was, with the exception of KC Starks. I was also tired of the fact that all of the wide open shots that either myself or other folks on the team took, they were either slightly early or slightly late, which ended up being a brick. But then the Kings, on the other hand, would take the same exact shot and it would be green and go in. And then finally, another thing that just got very annoying was the sliding of the players. Now, I know this game is a very animation-based game, but the sheer fact that they would slide certain people into position where they normally wouldn't be, if we looked at the physics of how basketball is played, just so they could get points, kind of frustrated me a lot. And I should be used to this, but this game was a bit more egregious than normal. But let's take a look at the stats so you can actually understand what it is that I'm referring to. So now Trey Franklin, as we know, is a solid scorer when it comes to the Kings. As you can see, he had 20 points, 2 boards, 9 assists, and he shot 8 for 21. Now, I knew he was a threat. That's why I constantly was giving York Bay some support. But ultimately, that burned me on the other end because Lamont Johnson was either wide open or rolling towards the paint, and he was able to get an easy 2 points. Carson Vaden had a solid game, shooting 15 points. Got 4 boards, then he was shooting 5 for 7. He was mainly coming off the bench, and he was very impactful on the bench, as you can see, because he only had 20 minutes and he had 15 points. Patrick Zipser was surprising to me in that he was able to get 13 points. Normally, he's not very effective on the court, nor impactful, but you see he had 5 for 8, and he had 3 boards, an assist, a steal as well. But then if you look at the Pelicans, you'll see that Miles had 42 points, 5 boards, 8 assists, 1 steal, shooting 16 for 26. But the thing that got to me when it came to Miles' shooting is that I shot over 5 from 3 despite having an 89 3-point rating, and I actually know Miles' jump shot, so for that to happen really frustrated me. And then after that, you'll see there's a 20-point difference between Miles and Casey Starks. He had 22 points, 17 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, shooting 10 for 13. Now, mind you, his average is 9 points and 7 boards. And then finally, we have York Bay for the top 3, getting 10 points, 6 boards, shooting 5 for 14. And mind you, this is one of his best games where he tied his season high of 10 points. Now, if we go further down in the list, you'll see that Lamont Johnson had me looking goofy, to say the least. He had 12 points, 8 boards, an assist, a steal, a block, shooting 6 for 9. But I did notice that he was very aggressive and getting a lot of fouls. So the main reason why you saw that I had a lot of dunks with Miles is because I was trying to get him to foul out, which I was successful in doing. Mainly because with him out of the picture, Lester Fuller would get into the game and I would have better control as far as his output of the game. So after Lamont, we have Roland Nixon, who was giving me problems on the interior with his moves, and he would slightly slide into positions where I wouldn't be able to block him. But as you can see, he had 11 points, 2 boards, 4 assists, shooting 5 for 7. And then Lester Fuller, who was on the Pelicans, who I traded him to get Dario Floyd for, you see he had 10 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, shooting 4-11. But his scoring was as typical as he had with us. And so when it comes to the rest of the Pelicans, you'll see that Michael Kent, he had a normal game with 9 points. Dario Floyd also had a normal game. Stephen Lee, he didn't contribute as much as he normally does by getting 5 points and 7 boards, but Axe really set me off the most because he was shooting 10% from the field with only 4 points, when his average is 44% from the field, shooting 16 points, getting 7 boards. And usually he's shooting at least 30% from the 3, but in this game, he shot 0 for 4 from 3. And then Zach as well, he underperformed with his 4 points compared to his average of 14. But compared to Herbert Humphreys, he's normally also more impactful, but he only had shot 2 for 8, getting 8 points, 5 boards, and an assist. And then Brandon Jordan, I don't have much to say for him because I don't recall him doing much. And then Bryce, although he wasn't impactful on the scoring perspective, you see from getting boards, he had 15 boards and he was able to get 5 blocks. So he was pretty dominant on the defensive side. Now, when you look at the team comparison, you can see that we shot 8% from 3 compared to 36% from 3 from the Kings. Our free throws were pretty much the same. And then overall, our field goals, we had made 4 more shots than them. From points in the paint, we definitely dominated. Second chance points were fairly in line. But as you can see, their bench pretty much outscored us by, I want to say 22 points. Could be mistaken if my math is shaky. But then other than that, we pretty much dominated with the exception of the turnovers. And so ultimately, if our shooting was the way I expected it to, because we've watched the Pelicans play with the CPU taking control of the Pelicans and they fare a lot better, I would expect them to play the same way they do when I'm on the court. And there's probably something in the mechanics that makes it so the harder difficulty you use, the less your teammates do, so that there's more control in your hands to actually win the game. I'll look into this. I can't say for sure, this is just an assumption, but ultimately I was very frustrated in that the team wasn't playing the way I expected them to play and that it relied all on me when I expect this to be a team game. But nonetheless, hopefully you enjoy that game. It was a close game. I'm glad we got the win because we need every win we can get to get into the playoffs. But now let's take a look at the week 12 results for all of my teams. So the Lakers fared very well this week. Had a solid game against the Pelicans, had a solid game against the Pistons, but then we had a shocking game against the Knicks where we actually beat them by 12 points. So I know earlier I said I don't know which team in the league would be able to beat the Knicks, but the Lakers managed to do it. So I was very happy about that because it gives us a good idea as far as how we'll be able to perform in the playoffs, assuming the team performs the way they've been performing today. And so when we take a look at the Mavs, you'll see that we had a bit of a mixed week. We had a strong game against the Nets, but then we lost in overtime to the Hornets, and it wasn't at the hands of Hendrick Cobb. It was actually tied to Marion Goodrich having a 23-point game, shooting 50% from the field. So shout out to Marion Goodrich there. And then we had a tough loss against the Bulls, although I thought we were going to win that. But towards the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, everything went south, and so we ended up losing. But then we did have a good game up against the Nuggets where we won by 17 points. And then for the Pelicans, we also had a mixed week where we got trounced by the Lakers. You saw the game against the Kings where we won by 2 points. We had a tough loss against the Jazz in the fourth quarter. We lost by 1 point, but then we came back and beat the Bulls by a resounding 17 points. Now, I'm not too upset with the team finishing the week at 500, considering when Stephen Lee was out with the injury, we were on like a 8 to 9 game losing streak, so I'll gladly take this. But now let's take a look at the conference standings to see how things played out for week 12. Yes, we have a battle for the 1 seed out in the West. So the Lakers are currently in the 1 seed with 27 wins and 11 losses compared to the Golden States that have 27 wins and 12 losses. But the Lakers are actually on an 8-game win streak with the most notable win of the week coming up against the Knicks. The Warriors, as I just mentioned, they're at the 2 seed. They finished the week with 3 wins and 1 loss, with wins against the Timberwolves, Pistons, and Bucks. But they also had a loss against the Kings by 3 points, which ended their 2-game streak of the week. But one thing I did notice is that Kenji, he progressed from a 78 to an 80 already within a matter of months. So things will probably get insane by the end of the season to see how he progresses. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, the Kings are still at the 3 seed, and they're currently on a 2-game win streak, but they finished their week with 2 wins and 2 losses, with the wins being up against the Warriors and the Suns. But then you saw that they lost to the Pelicans, but they also lost to the Grizzlies this week. Now, the Spurs, they're still at 4. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak, actually. But oddly enough, they were on a 4-game win streak prior to that, but that came to an end at the Bucks by a 2-point loss, despite the fact that they just beat the Bucks 2 days prior by 19 points. And so this loss was also followed by a loss to the Celtics, which was led by Austin Carney. So it was a pretty rough week for the Spurs, to say the least. Now, the Mavericks, they're up from the 6th seed to the 5th seed. And as you saw, they ended their week 2-2 with a loss to the Hornets by 2 and the loss to the Bulls by 7. Now, although Chase had a solid outing for the past 3 games, averaging 29 points, this wasn't enough to get them over the hump against those 2 teams. I will say that they did beat the Nets and had a solid win against the Nuggets by 17, which is good from a standing position in the West. Now, the Suns, they're actually down 1 seed down to the 6th seed, and they finished their week with 1 win and 3 losses, with those losses coming by the hands of the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Kings, but they did win against the Grizzlies by 41 points. Now, looking at the Jazz, they're still currently at the 7th seed, and they finished their week with 2 wins, 2 losses, with those wins coming up against the Pelicans as well as the Magic, but they lost to the Bulls and got stomped by the Knicks. The Timberwolves are still at the 8th seed, finished their week with 2 wins and a loss, and they're currently on a 2-game win streak. And the Rockets are still at the 9th seed, and they're currently on a 2-game losing streak, losing both games that they had this week. One of the losses were to the 76ers by 7, and the other loss was to the Hawks by 5. Now, one thing I will say is that Eli Harris is actually back, and he's slowly getting his feet under him. And in the last game against the Hawks, he did, in fact, have a double-double, shooting under 3% from the field. But once he gets his footing back, I think the Rockets will be back in contention when it comes to the West. Now, looking at the Thunder, they actually finished their week 1 game and 3 losses, and they're actually on a 2-game losing streak, with 1 loss to the Nets by 17, another loss to the 76ers by 9, but they did win against the Cavs by 5. Now, the Nuggets are actually up 1 slot to the 11th seed, so the Pelicans actually fell down this week, And that's because the Nuggets actually finished their week with 3 wins and a loss. And they were previously on a 3-game win streak, which came to an end by the Mavericks, which was that loss I noted by the 17 points. So that's why they have that loss tacked on towards the end of the week. But otherwise, they had solid games against the Pacers, the Wizards, as well as the Hawks. Now, as I mentioned before, the Pelicans are down to the 12th seed, and they finished their week 2-2 with wins against the Bulls and the Kings, but they had losses to the Lakers and the Jazz, with Miles averaging 35 points over the last 3 games. So it's tough for them to have those losses despite a good outing by Miles, as well as Casey Starks and Axel, despite the game that we saw. Now the Grizzlies, they're still at the 13th slot. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak. The previous win streak ended with a loss to the Clippers by 19 points, which is surprising because, as we know, the Clippers are the worst in the West. So for the Grizzlies to lose to the Clippers says something. But I didn't look at the game. I didn't watch the game, and I didn't look at the details to figure out what went wrong, but that's rather surprising. And then the Grizzlies also had losses to the Suns as well as the Timberwolves all in the same week. So very tough week for the Grizzlies. Now, the Trailblazers are still at 14. They're currently on a 3-game win streak after their Eastern road trip. So some notable wins that they had were against the Wizards by 6, the Heat by 3, and the Raptors by 2. And Andre is actually out with an injury, so the real push for the team in those wins was by Damon Weber, who averaged 22.3 points over the course of these games, Max Singh, who averaged 19.7 points over these games, and then you have VJ Abdulaziz coming up in third on the team with 18.3 points. And then finally we have the Clippers, who are still at 15. They finished their week with 2 wins and a loss this week, and they surprisingly ended their 9-game losing streak with a 14-point win against the Pistons. So that really says a lot about the Pistons right now, because as we know, which we're about to see right now, the Clippers are 7-32, which is really bad. But at the end of the season, things will get interesting because they'll probably have the number 1 pick. And with the whole fact that free agency is a free-for-all, because all of the players are going to be free agents, we'll see how the Clippers are able to use this to have a better positioning next season. But another thing I wanted to know, following the win that they had against the Pistons, they had a 19-point win against the Grizzlies, as I just mentioned before. And then they also had a loss to the Knicks in a close game where they only lost by 2 points, which is rather shocking considering they're diametrically opposed when it comes to standings, or at least the power rankings in the league, and that the Knicks are number 1 and the Clippers are 30. So that was a very interesting outcome for the week. But now let's take a look at the Eastern Conference to see how things panned out over there. Now, the Knicks are still at the top of the conference, but the one thing I do want to note is the impact of that one loss that they had this week to the hands of the Lakers. Now, because of that loss, the 11-game win streak that the New York Knicks were on came to an end, which is rather surprising. And in fact, in that game, Shea Honeycutt, as we saw in the previous games over the past couple of weeks, especially the game against the Suns earlier today, how dominant he is, both offensively and defensively. And against the Lakers, he only had 13 points, even though he's averaging 30.5 points over the past 12 games. So that was an interesting tidbit, which leads me to believe that either Pablo or Gilbert had him on lock. Now against the Jazz, I do want to highlight an accomplishment for one of the Knicks, Ayo Shakur. He achieved a season high of 23 points and shot 90% from the field during that game, so kudos to him. Now the Celtics are up 3 slots to the 2nd seed. They finished their week with 3 wins and a loss, with a win against the Hawks, Bulls, and the Spurs. Now I want to highlight Michael Terry because he had a monster game against the Spurs where he had 14 points, 16 boards, and 11 assists. However, that one loss they had came at the hands of the Wizards, and this is although Carney, and by Carney I mean Austin Carney, he's been on a tear, having an average of 25.6 points per game, but in this game against the Wizards, he only had 17 points. Now, that's not to say he's the cause for them losing. It was a team effort, but it was really surprising considering how bad the Wizards have been over the past couple of weeks. Now, the Hornets are still at 3 seed, and they finished their week with 2 wins and 2 losses, with those losses coming by the hands of the Cavs by 3 points and by the Pacers by 9, which is rather surprising to me because although Hendricks was out at that point in time, the team still has a lot of threats between Bill Patterson, Bob Montgomery, etc. So for them to lose to the Pacers is rather perplexing, considering that they also won against the Mavericks by 2 and they beat the Raptors by 16, and we know the Raptors are dogs. So it doesn't make any sense to me. But I will say that Hendricks is now back in the lineup from his injury, and he's averaging 27 points over the past couple of games. Now, the Bucks fell down 2 slots down to the 4 seed, and they finished the week with 1 win and 2 losses. And they really caught a beating up against the Spurs, losing by 20 points, where Omar had a career high of 40 points in the game, and then the second highest scorer after him was Shane Miles Jr. with 9 points. So the team really didn't do anything. It was really Omar Abdul-Rauf trying to do his best to keep the team in the game. Now, following this game, 2 days later, the Bucks win against the Spurs, led by Lawrence Peters, who had 30 points in the game, considering he didn't score as much in the previous game, which doesn't make sense. But other than that, the Bucks then finish up the week with a loss against the Warriors, which was by 3 points. Now, the Raptors are down 1 slot to the 5th seed. They finished their week with 1 win and 3 losses. And they're currently on a 2-game losing streak after losing to the Trailblazers by 2 and losing to the Hornets by 16. But they beat the Nets by 1 point. 1 point. That's right. 1 point. The Nets, who are the 14th seed, almost beat the Raptors. So I don't have any clue as far as what's going on with the Raptors. Now, the 76ers are at the 6th seed. They finished their week with 2 wins and 0 losses. And they're currently on a 4-game win streak. And so those wins that they had this week was a 7-point win against the Rockets, and that was led by Randall Cameron, who had a triple-double. Big shout out to him. He had 20 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, shooting 47% from the field and 50% from the three-point line and 50% from the free throw line. So he had a monster game against the Rockets. Then he also had a 9-point win against the Thunder, where Randall Cameron also had a career high of 22 points and shooting 80%. So he's been doing his thing. Now, another thing I want to note for the 76ers is that they now have several unhappy players on their team that want trades, including Dean Pearson, Randall Cameron, and Ralph Holloway, which is probably why they've been having some pluses and minuses over the week. Now, the Magic are up 2 slots to the 7th seed. They finished their week with 3 wins and a loss, with those wins coming up against the Heat, the Nets, and the Wizards. But they did lose to the Jazz. But despite this, they're still on a 2-game win streak. Now, since coming back from his injury, Darren Harper is averaging 28.5 points and 22.3 boards, and EJ Flores is averaging 25.4 points. So I'm going to keep my eye out on the Magic. Now, I know the game we saw with the Jazz against the Magic, it was kind of iffy towards the end, but I definitely believe the Magic are a threat, and we should keep our eyes out for them. Now, the Hawks are down 1 slot to the 8th seed. They finished their week with 2 wins, 2 losses, wins against the Pacers and the Rockets, but they had losses against the Celtics and the Nuggets. The Bulls are down 1 slot to the 9th seed, and they finished their week 2-2 with notable wins against the Jazz, which was led by Carson Shepherd, who had 24 points, and Skylar Cash had a solid performance with 13 points, 19 boards, and 13 assists with 4 steals on top of that double-double. And then the Bulls also won against the Mavs by 7 points, with notable losses to the Pelicans and the Celtics. Now, the Heat are still at the 10th seed. The Cavs are up 1 slot to the 11th seed, finishing the week with 2 wins, 2 losses, with a notable win against the Hornets by 3, but losses to the Thunder and the Timberwolves. I will note that Zeke Harrison is actually back from his injury, slowly getting back into the groove of thing, averaging 12.5 points over the week. But Bayou James is really killing it, averaging 30.5 points over the week. And fun fact, just like Kenji, he jumped up from a 75 overall and is now an 80. As it relates to the bottom of the conference, the Pacers are up to the 12th seed. The Pistons are now down to the 13th seed. The Wizards are the 14th seed. And the Nets are the 15th seed. So when it comes to the Wizards, they finished their week with 1 win and 3 losses, but they did end their 10-game losing streak with 19 points against the Celtics, with Nigel Lester leading the team with 24 points. Now, I almost forgot, shout out to YG the Beast because he created Kim Shafino, who is on the Phoenix Suns. Please check out his channel. His links are in the description, and let him know that I sent you. So that is the end of our video. As I mentioned before, I enjoy watching the games, I enjoy playing the game, and I enjoy making these videos. Hopefully you enjoy these videos. Let me know what you think about the games and what you think about these players. And until next week, I hope you have a good one. Later.